Hi, everyone, and welcome to a special edition of Command Stack. I'm Ken.
I'm Garrett.
And Ryan and John are both unfortunately working. We wanted to get some information to you guys as quickly as possible. So Garrett and I are going to go through a surprise release here by Atomic Mass Games.
Yeah, this is the biggest news, I guess. 2 years, right? Biggest news of 2 years. Biggest meta shifting news. Points changes and erratas, everybody. Something we never thought we'd see again.
And not just a couple cards here, but we've got some ships that some point changes have been made, which I know a lot of people have been interested in looking for a while.
First time ever. First time
Mm-hmm.
ever shipped points have been changed.
And we're going to go through all of them. It looks like from what I was seeing under the rapid reinforcements and the errata, they have a date listed of 10/15, so that's this Sunday. FFG, usually it was once they released, it was what, 2 weeks before it was tournament usable. It almost looks like on Sunday, fire away with the new stuff.
It looks like it. I'm going to start playing immediately with it, but I think this impacts the St. Laurent Open. They're still going to be on the old rules because their tournament begins on the 14th. And I think there's a couple sort championships that are on the 14th this weekend. I was actually planning on going to one. Now I'm rethinking it, but I guess I could take Anakin for one last ride.
Why not? I mean, we know
Yeah,
that he was good.
real good. But yeah, let's see here. Any other news? I don't think so. Oh, big news. So the Las Vegas Open, there was confusion whether it would be a World Open qualifier or it wouldn't be a World Open qualifier. It is an Armada World Open qualifier. It was just a typo by AMG. They have clarified that. So get your tickets. If you're going to the Las Vegas Open, it is a World Open qualifier, 4 tickets with the top person getting full accommodations to Worlds. And then a clarification for something I said in the last podcast about 16 people being at the store championships. I said they got to be there start to finish. The rule is you need to have 16 unique names that participated. So if there is a buy or a drop for some reason, somebody has to leave, that when you report when the store owner reports, the friendly local game store owner reports, you put the 16 unique names and the results. And that is what is required. I'll
I
leave it at
think the
that.
I think the one thing that I think I saw maybe a day or two ago was that you need 16 people to start it.
That's correct. You need
So
16 people. So
right.
just with 16 unique names.
Yeah, to get started. So as long as 16 people start round one, you should be good. That's
That is
my
correct.
understanding. And if we're wrong, put it in the comments below and you know, let
Right.
other
Because
people
I
know.
said 16 start to finish, and that really threw some people off. So I just want to make sure everyone knows you just need to have 16 to start. And that is what the announcement says, 16 names.
Command
But
stack
anyways,
PSA. So
yeah. So, anyways, I apologize. There were some pitchforks out for me. I just set the record straight. Anyways, on to the really good stuff here. We'll start with the non-rapid reinforcement changes, and you can find both these. I'm sure Ken will drop links in the description below. You can find both these on AMG, and it's the errata reference. A lot of it's got older erratas, but at the end, the last 2 pages, last 2 pages, we start off with the Rebel Admiral Commander Krista Agate, and she got a points increase from 20 to 25. Chef's kiss. What do you think, Ken?
it's funny because John and I at one point were talking about Kirsta Gate way back when. I think this was around Gen Con when that came around. And it looks like we might even have Ryan joining us along for the ride. Ryan, hello.
Ooh, welcome in. Welcome.
Are we in? Are we live
We're
already?
live right
We,
now.
we are
You just
live.
jumped in.
You are
Love it.
jumping in. This is going to be a fun miracle of editing to get you in just right.
It's gonna be
Let's
good.
do this.
We just
Keep it
announced Krista Agate, the first card, 5 point
great
increase.
change. Great change.
So what I was hello.
Hello.
What we were actually talking about, I was mentioning that when back at Gen Con, when John won, John and I were talking about Kirsta Gate, and our thing was, would you take Kirsta Gate if she was 30 points? And we're thinking, yeah, we would. Would you take her if she was 25? Yeah, we probably would. But at 25 points, you open the field a little bit for maybe a Dodonna to come in. You're no longer going to pick Kirsta Gate because she's 20 points. You're
Right.
picking Krista Gate because you have a plan. So I think this is a great idea.
Yep. Fantastic change. Anything you want to add, Ryan?
No, I think it's a great change. It's right on the money. I feel like it's like 25 is a totally perfect amount. I love it. Great change. Way to
Yes.
like listen to the community too. Like we're saying Agate is too strong for 20 points.
Yeah. Most of these changes are all stuff I've heard every day, I feel like for the last 2 or 3 years. So this is good. The next change is a Imperial commander that everyone's well aware of, General Ramadi. He got walloped. It's like a 50% increase. He went from 20 to 28 points. Let me tell you, well deserved, I think.
Awesome.
The whole adding a dice for obstruction and when you're playing somebody else, they lose a dice for obstruction. 28 points is absolutely necessary. Yes.
No,
Yeah,
I agree. Same thing.
just
Mahdi, you're taking him because he was 20 points, right?
20
right.
and good.
Yeah.
And he'd been performing too well in tournaments, right? Like he's the current world champion, right, Admiral?
I think you're right.
So, like he's just way too good, overperforming kind of his ability. His price need to go up, and I think this is right on the money. Like it makes it a real interesting choice for Imperial commanders now.
Yes. Yeah, perfect. This will make other commanders, possibly Thrawn, come back into the fold.
And it doesn't kill him, right? Like 28 still you can still take him. You have one less, something.
Right. If you're still running an Architon spam with like 4 or 5 Architons, Ramadi's still a good choice for that list. Let's see here. So the next thing, we've got a ship title that I'm very fond of, Tranquility. It also went from 3 to 7 points. Yes, this is also needed. At 3 points, just to move shields around without having to use a redirect token, combined with Luminara, it was outrageous. So yes, I wouldn't even be mad if they changed it even higher, probably. But 7 points, I think, is a good amount.
Ryan, what do you think?
I didn't think it was too much of a problem. Like I'm fine with it. If make the other titles more interesting, I guess. But I didn't think Tranquility was like that big of a problem at 3 points. I thought it was undercosted and a good card. Like I like seeing titles on ships. That's like one of my things. I wish it was a rule that all ships had to have titles. So I like cheaper titles, but it's fine. I'm not too wild about it, but
my thinking kind of falls along somewhere in between there. I think 4 point increase is great because one thing I saw is every time I'd go up against the fleet with a Venator in it, Tranquility was going to be on one of the ships, 100% guaranteed. Yeah. There's zero reason not to take it. At 7 points, and now you're going to think about it. So will you see it in every fleet? Yeah, probably not every fleet, but will you see it in a good amount of them? Probably, because 7 points, it's a great card for 7 points because you're falling in the lines of something akin to advanced projectors or having like an extra redirect of some sort along with an engineering token to kind of be able to pull those shields around. Right. So I think 7 points is a good change for Tranquility. And I think it also might make you think for fleets that are a lot closer to 400 points, maybe you have to remove something else to keep that Tranquility in there. So maybe that's one less projection experts on a Pelta. I'm really spitballing and throwing, extreme cases, but I think it'll change up the way a Garfleet is built, and we're going to get to why as we continue on through all the different things that are changing.
And I think at a Venator 1 and a Luminara fleet still staples Tranquility to it. It's just too useful. So our next guy, this is a CIS change. This is the one I'm not completely on board with. It's the Wat Tambor officer. He went from 5 points to 9 points. I think he was good, but I don't know if he was 9 points good. Maybe 7 points. I don't know. What do you guys think? Compared to other options now in the CIS card deck.
I think it was excessive. I don't think CIS is in a great spot. I don't think anyone really thought of him as a problem card, and that's kind of what this was. This is trying to address problem cards. And I just don't, Watt's fine. We have moved away from the farming, the Watt farming list, which were a problem. And that they may be coming back. Those kind of CIS farming lists, and they may be a problem. And maybe this is the preemptive kind of let's nerf Watt to try to avoid farming lists. But that's my only take on it. I've never really seen them as a huge problem.
I'm going to look at it like this. You look at all the other CIS officers. Pasella, 6 points. The rest of them are all 3 or 4. Watt was 5, he was 5 originally. Now he jumps up to 9. So the only, generally speaking, you would see Watt on like a Recusant or whatever the flagship was. Maybe that's
Providences.
The Providence. Yeah. Just there to steal some shields from someone else and get you the extra bonus so that you can get up to like 10 engineering points on a single ship, which actually makes it a lot more survivable. So when you do use him effectively, I can see him worth a little bit more than 5 points. 9, I guess we're going to see as the rest of the season gets played out. We've got 6 months before, well, maybe not 6. We've got 5 months before World, so we're going to have a lot of data to come in. And I think this is, in a way, this is a great, for lack of a better way to put it, mid-season change where everything is going to get thrown up into the air, and we're just going to see what new metas come out. But I'm going to guarantee we're not going to see Anakin versus Sloane or Anakin versus Ramadi for the remainder of the season.
Yeah, yes. For sure. It's a new game.
Yeah.
Changes. It is a brand new game, brand new list building, just a great shakeup that we needed. And this is, we just need a point shakeup every now and then. That's all we need to keep this game going. Really.
Right. And I think the best part, this is set precedents that they can change cards and points on ships, officers, anything. So that's fantastic news, right? Maybe we can get a refresher every 6 months. That's big. That keeps everything chugging along for years.
I mean, I do want to say that if you go back and listen to our Nova episode at the very end, I said Warhammer has been out, their new edition was out for a month and they already had a points change, and we can, we don't need a year's worth of data to do a points change. And you know what? We didn't need a year's worth of data on Anakin to know that something needed to be done with him.
To be adjusted. Yeah.
Yeah.
One of the cool things about actually what you just said and what we're looking at here, last year we got 1 rapid reinforcements item. This year we got 1 rapid reinforcements item and a points change. So a question that I'm going to ask now, and we'll talk about later in the episode, but I want to give Garrett and Ryan an opportunity to kind of think about this while we're talking about everything else. Could this be a precursor to new stuff coming about for Armada that might be announced at Adepticon? So think about that. Don't answer now. We'll talk about that later. We'll get back to it. I think what I want to talk about next, and this is something that I think everyone has been asking about since, Wave 8 came out. The Onagers got a point change. So first point change of Armada in terms of a ship ever. Ryan already brought that up. What do you guys think about this?
Keep going. I'm getting coffee. Very excited.
So obviously, personally, on a personal note, not a game designer, not me, but I hate Onagers as an idea in the game. The super laser thing, it takes me out of the immersion of my fleet battle. So I'm very joyful to see this change. 20-point increase for the test bed. Yes, please. It needs to be the same points decision as when they're looking at an Imperial Star Destroyer, not a 24-point discount or whatever from an ISD2. So because now the test bed's 116 and the Onager Star Destroyer is 120. Yes, that's where they need to be. Those are good points decisions. Nothing else needed to change on. I think and with Ramadi with 8 more points, that's a 28-point increase to someone's standard fleet.
28 points, that removes one of your Gazantes, which generally you're going to use to block the Onager, especially when you're dealing with a test bed shot. I think one of the things, because some of the stuff online in the discords, they're stating maybe the test bed was too much, but I'm also going to look at it this way. The two things I absolutely hated about the test bed, it was way too cheap, so why not grab it? Again, you have Ramadi thrown on there, so Ramadi and a test bed. But the other thing was that support team slot, which gave you engine techs. So you wound up getting effectively a speed 4 Onager in there. And now to do the same thing, you're right, it's another 28 points. Do you really want to spend that kind of that amount of your fleet? So you're now at 150, 160 points, give or take. That's a lot more than the 130 that it was. So
Right.
that puts it into a different classification. That's a fully kitted out ISD, which
Without a defensive retrofit.
Correct. So that was kind of my take on the test bed. And then as far as the Star Destroyer goes, it's a little different configuration, costs a little bit more. Yeah, you've got a little bit more firepower out the sides, but you lose a little bit of the guaranteed damage on black dice, and you don't get the full amount of red dice. So you basically swap one black die, one red die for the two blues in the super weapon shot. So you get another fighter out of it. What's the change? Is it turbo laser? Yeah, it's a turbo laser slot that you gain. So you can still do some damage with it. But again, you've got a little bit more of a premium cost up front, and your longer range firepower is not necessarily as good. Ryan, what do you think?
I think, to Garrett's point about game design, we've played lots of different games, and there's always this piece in games, like whatever tabletop game you're playing, that can shoot across the table, right? There's always that like artillery piece, and this is the artillery piece in Armada, and I think now it's okay. Like I think now it's like a good price. It's painful, right? Like it is a 40, in a Donager list, you're looking at 40-point increase in your list. You're looking at 440-point list or something, whatever you are now. So it is this attempt to rein in the artillery piece, which I think needed something. And so I'm thrilled with it. I don't think it kills Onagers in any stretch of the imagination. They're still very good, but I think now we're looking more like one Onager, right? Donager is going to be tough because you're going to have to make real sacrifices. You're not going to have two Onagers, two Gazantes, and like an 80-point squad rank. That is gone. There's no way to do that anymore. So, if you want to run two Onagers with a Gazante and, like an 80-point squad rank, you can make that work. Like that's still a really good fleet and that'll be okay. But it's not, it's just not everything, right? Like you don't
have all the bells and whistles, right?
Right. You're gonna, you might not fill up both weapon team slots now. You might just opt for the one and try your luck with the dice fixing admiral or something. So great change. I think like a 10-point increase would have still felt bad. So I'm happy with the big bet to it.
Yeah, and I think another thing, not only does it give Imperial players a better choice when they're looking at which ship to take, but these bring them in line to an appropriate points level to Rebel larges. And so the Clone Wars larges were actually pretty well priced. But I think Rebel larges were vastly overcosted when you compared them to this test bit, especially. So I think Rebel larges have a much more, viable stance now.
Yeah, I am worried. I've always felt Onagers were good to defeat fortressing fleets. Just real, and those are the worst, really unfun fleets to play against. And where you play extra on the objective, and those are super unfun to play with. So I'm worried that maybe they'll come back because Onagers have been nerfed, but we'll see. It's just a matter of time. One you can still load out to bear and still have a nice support ship like Demolisher or something.
Yes, and then John, who's not here right now, wanted to say that he thinks the Onager might have been a bit heavy-handed, but he's okay with it. That was his input on that one.
It's just great that we got changes. Like this is great. You still got involvement in the game. You're still, people thinking about what's fun, what's not fun. It's a good day, even if you know, it's too early to tell what these are going to all turn out to be.
Right. I mean, it took us months to unlock, different builds with Gar until they started winning, even before Anakin, right? Okay, so that is the errata to the, I guess, regularly purchased items. And now we go to the rapid reinforcements. And almost all of the rapid reinforcements too got touched, which is great.
I think actually all of them did.
Everybody but
Except
Price,
for
right?
Governor Price.
Yeah.
Governor Price has been the same since she was revealed at Adepticon. Nothing's changed, and actually, I'm just going to say this now: Governor Price is a great card in the right situations and can really give you that one die face that you absolutely must have. And with some of the combos you can have is just great. I've seen
you pay for it.
You do pay for it, and you are losing shields, but sometimes there's ways around that just makes price that much better. So again, it's more of you have to have a plan for it. You have to have a particular theme to your fleet to be able to take advantage of her ability. Otherwise, you're kind of self-defeating yourself, which I guess is thematic in a way.
Right. And then before we get into these, I wanted to say huge thanks to, I think it was Dennis, I want to think, was one of the rules guys on the forum. I guess he had a lot with the playtesting and stuff. Yeah. So the best thing I think about these changes is the rewording of these cards to follow how the rules of Armada work and everybody understands. They're much easier to read than the word salad that was before. So this is great. But let's get started with General Draven, who has a new ability. Same points, new abilities. So we still at 28. I'll go ahead and read this for everybody. So at the end of each command phase, you may look at all the command dials assigned to one enemy ship. Then you may place 2 command tokens, each of a different type, on this card. After an enemy ship resolves a command, you may discard a matching command token from this card. If you do, that enemy ship gains 1 matching raid token. And that's for every round for the ship that Draven picks on. I mean, is it the best ability on the planet? No. But is it way more useful than it was before? Yes. This is every round. He gets to look at all the command dials and hand out raid tokens, which can be combined with other stuff.
He's handing out 2 raid tokens?
No, he hands out 1 raid token, but he gets to pick 2 command tokens to put on the card looking at the stack of dials. So I guess the question is, does he keep that other command token on its card?
So the way I'm reading this is you've got your command phase, it's over. So all the dials have been set. Mm-hmm. If I'm the Draven player, I'm going to say, Ryan, I want to see all 4 dials on your Superstar Destroyer because it's Ryan. He's bringing a Superstar Destroyer. I can look at all of them. And whatever he is in there, it's like, cool. All right. I see what he's doing. Put that stack back. I'm going to take a Concentrate Fire and a nav token and put it on Draven. Then during the course of the game, Ryan pulls out I play John way too much. Clearly, I need to go down to Kentucky and play with you guys. But Ryan flips over his nav token. He assigns it to Superstar Destroyer, and then he uses it. Once he is done using that command, the command has been resolved. I can say, all right, here's the nav token off Draven. Toss it. You've got a raid on the Superstar Destroyer. What this kind of does is it does delay Draven from doing something right away, but especially in some cases where you're going to be navving, or let's say you have a fighter-heavy fleet. Your first action is going to be, I'm going to take a token. So, all right, I've got a squadron token on Draven. I'll wait. And then you do your squadron command on turn 2. You're going to activate your full alpha strike there. Then I put the raid token on you. So then when you try to do it in turn 3, you've got to get rid of that token before you can make. So now you're playing a different game of token economics to go against Draven. It's not as penalizing as Draven could have been in his original wording, where I figured the way he should have worked is I've got a squadron dial. You're showing a squadron dial. You have to take it as a token. Now that is hurtful to the person that's a squadron player. Same thing with a super star destroyer, removing its speed too. And no, you can't nav. Make sure you brought Jerry. But I kind of like this because it the key here is Draven's effect doesn't come into play unless you resolve the command. So taking the token is not resolving the command.
Right.
And here's another interesting thing. Thinking of navigate, Ozzel changing speeds and whatnot is also not resolving a command. There's a command stack top tip.
I don't know what to make of this one. I really don't. I think I need to see him on the table or something. I think he's kind of a bit of a puzzle, and there's certain combos that'll be fun. There's Rex out there who's always interesting with raid for the rebels. It'll just kind of be interesting to see what people come up with. I'm not going to be coming up with anything for him immediately. It's just interesting. It's completely new ability, right? Like kind of fluffy too with this kind of with who Draven is and in the rebellion. So it's interesting. We have a brand new admiral.
Yes, again.
I like it.
What was I gonna say? Oh, John said, bring it up here. He said Draven went from not interesting to very interesting for a high skill floor. I think that's exactly right. This is going to take some shenanigans fleet building wise to really get the full 28 points out of him. And objective play, especially. Let's see here. Next, we have probably the thing people, I don't know. I celebrated the Onager nerf more, but Anakin Skywalker has been just murdered. I mean, somebody call SVU. But he not only did he get a points increase, but they took away his ability and gave him a new one.
God. I don't know. Like I imagine them having like a list, like a queued up list of like commanders, like 20 deep of like abilities, and they're just like, no, we're starting over.
Yeah,
delete.
They just dumpstered it. So say goodbye to local fire control and flag guns, everybody. Anyways, he went from 29 to 31 points. Okay, so first right off the bat, went up, took his ability away. All right, so we have Vader Light. That's what I'm calling this, Diet Vader. So while a friendly ship is attacking a ship, if the defender is at distance 1 to 5 of 2 other friendly ships, one other friendly ship at distance 1 to 5 of the defender may spend 1 defense token. If it does, the attacker may re-roll up to 3 dice. So, wow. So you got to have at minimum 3 ships, distance 1 to 5 of your target, with tokens willing to spend, and you get to re-roll 3 dice with them. And I think it's good that Gar has a dice re-rolling mechanism now. So that's good. This is definitely not a
this is not on anybody's radar. Right?
Yeah, don't take 3 ships, because if you lose one of your ships, your commander for 31 points is now useless. So this is an MSU commander, everybody, just so you know. What do you guys think? This is yeah. Wow.
I think that one Pelta that gives you that free evade went up in value a little bit.
Yeah.
Just having, I kind of feel like you'll have just one ship hanging back at long range that'll just be taking these, right? They'll just be spending them. That's not the target, some counselor or something that's just kind of just hanging back with the blue dice and just like, oh, this is my 37 point reroll ship.
Yes.
He'll just spend all the tokens for each one of your attacks. I kind of see how I'd use it that way. It hurts, right? Like it's like Vader to spend the tokens, but I like the other ship kind of idea. So you can kind of be a little bit more strategic in how you do it. So I think it's fine for 31 points.
Yeah, it's an ability.
It's an ability.
The thing it's going to require, and I know one of the things that a lot of people were saying about Anakin over the last 6 months has fallen along the lines of anybody can fly Anakin and just pulverize an opposing fleet. Because just every ship is adding dice. You've got the double salvos, the salvo can, And now that's all gone, which is good because the way they wanted to do salvo really didn't mesh well with the rules. But that's a different point altogether. And then
That was yesterday, man. That was
In the
yesterday.
that was
past.
totally yesterday. It's gone. Gone are the days of the DBY heavy turbo lasers.
Oh,
I hated that. The fact that you could go up against an Anakin fleet and every time you took a shot, expect 10 damage back, right? Um, it's true, right? I think the other thing this is going to do is it's going to eliminate a lot of the 3 Venator ship builds with the small token squadron, along with Matchstick, which we're going to get to that too in a minute. But I think what you might see is you're going to see Anakin still on a Venator, and you're probably going to see maybe some acclimators. And actually thought I had maybe a couple C-70s coming out now that can stay within range 1 to 5. Maybe they're not doing the shooting, but they're spending the tokens. Or Ryan, like you said, getting the TB-73 title out. It's a 5-point title. It's great on a Pelta. You get the extra evade, and that's just extra re-rolling. So Garrett, to your point, this is Vader light because Vader himself, 5 more points and you spend a defense token on the ship doing the attack. Yeah. This does require more to trigger Anakin's ability, but it also kind of puts you into a position where if you're going to use Anakin as a squadron, he's a squadron. If you're going to build a fleet with Anakin as a commander, you're probably not going to bring squadrons to this. You're going to be bringing more ships. That's the way I'm kind of viewing this.
I guess the C-70, you got something you can use that contain token for. So
yeah. So I mean, it could be interesting to see how how new fleets develop with this.
I mean, it brings me back to Ken, your idea like swivel mount batteries with Anakin. You can build in layered rerolls with ordnance experts and Anakin's ability. So you can really fish for those APT crits at long range with the double rerolls, maybe even triple rerolls with the Gunfire token.
Right.
So, just ideas, but I think you need probably 4 ships. One of them might be this, Pelta with 4 tokens in the back, kind of just being a projection expert's Pelta with 4 tokens, just to power his ability, right? Because you kind of have to power his ability. So I think he's got to be 4 ships, can't be 3. And this is one thing John said, the 2 ships, being 1 to 5 is tough. Makes you think about Mercy Mission too. Like, does Mercy Mission necessarily work with Anakin? Just a lot of room to explore. I'm interested. What do you guys think losing Anakin does to the meta? Because I think we've consistently said you have to build to face him if you want to do well.
Yes.
So like what fleets are viable? Like what strategies?
MSU's back on the table.
Yeah.
Right. Super easy now. Well, not easy, but like way better than it was.
You hit the nail right on the point with MSU. One of the things I was looking at upcoming store championships and any world qualifiers, I can't really fly MSU yesterday. Today I can again and have a chance to survive. Because the best I've done with an MSU fleet, or one of mine anyways, against Anakin was a 6-5. And it was 0 MOV, and that's because I was first player. So I mean, it's I have more faith in my ability to do something moving forward.
CR90 spam, unfortunately, is back on the table. I hate flying CR90 spam with 134 of rogues. It's the most annoying fleet, but that'll come back. Hard cells will be good. I think hard cells are going to make a comeback. Good for CIS in general to see a nerf to Anakin. So
I think the biggest thing, like, this is healthy for local communities, because everybody out there who had somebody who would bring Anakin, it was just an unpleasant experience the whole game, because anything you try to do was a punishment from Anakin in every way. His turn, punishment. Your turn, punishment. So, the oppression is gone, which is why I've got the indoor celebration behind me here. So Empire has fallen. But yeah, I mean, MSU's back. I mean, I mean, there's a lot of ships that just, if you salvo twice at them, Their shields are gone. Their defense tokens are gone. The game's over. So, yeah, no, this is great. Well, so we move on to the Lady Bald, the Night Sister Asajj Ventress.
Let's do it.
So no longer do I get an aneurysm trying to read her card and understand it. It's been changed to during the activation of a friendly ship at distance 1 to 5 of you, you may exhaust this card to discard 1 raid token from an enemy ship at distance 1 to 5 of you. If you do, that friendly ship may gain 1 command token of any type. So it can be your ship or another one of your ships. Basically, taking a raid token, turning it into a command token you need. Easy peasy. Combine it with Dooku, B2 rocket troopers, whatever you can do to put raid tokens on the enemy ships for you to turn into command tokens for you. Is she better than Tykes and Rune Hako? No. But it's something you can use with Dooku.
You can use them all together, right? Like,
you can add it.
You can use Rune to take whatever she throws. I like the idea of her throwing like command tokens on another ship. I like that aspect of it's like a weird Ahsoka kind of. It's just like extreme flexibility, which we know is always great in Armada. So there's a place for her somewhere.
Yes.
I like the fact you don't have to do damage to the opposing ship anymore to be able to make this trigger. The one thing I did like about previous Asajj was the fact that you're removing a raid token and a command token from the defending ship. And I was viewing Asajj as a way of, I am going to allow you to do a command later, but I'm taking your token away from you now. And it was more of a depriving type action. Now it is, I'm still chucking it, but you're gaining any ship, not just Asajj's ship now, is going to gain that extra command token. So there's kind of an interesting play here.
Is it any token or is it a matching token? What
it's you will discard a raid token from an enemy ship at distance 1 to 5. And then if you do, that friendly ship may gain 1 command token of any type. Now,
that's good.
Mind, you have to be within range 5 of Asajj Ventress, her ship.
Sure.
But instead of now just working on just the ship that Asajj is on, it will work on potentially more of your fleet. So her opportunity to do something is greater, but you're also only able to use her once per turn.
Yeah, any type of token is really useful.
Yes,
you can really do some good work with that.
No, I would agree. So I think we might see her in more games.
Yes. Let's see here.
Since Watt is now 9 points. So
poor Watt. Who did he hurt? It's because they want him to run that squadron. All right. So next we've got Finn Rao, the Mandalorian Gauntlet fighter for the Rebels. This is not really a change. This is more of a cleaning up of the wording to make it match how the rules work. So I think before it said like when you activate, but now it says after your activation. If you were activated by a squad command, you choose up to 2 non-unique squadrons, distance 1, and they can go as they are activated that squad command. So not a big change, just a cleanup of the words.
Yep. I mean, that's like it's a very small thing, but like even that they cared enough to fix something that really didn't have to be fixed, right? But like it just cleaned it up, which is a nice sign.
Yes.
Getting back to Ken's original question 20 minutes ago or so.
Yeah. Anything on that, Ken?
No, I mean that you hit the nail on the head. This Finn Rao was a pretty easy one. I think the next one we're going to talk about Vault Scaris. That one I kind of liked. I like this change.
Yes,
and I don't
ditch the evade and gave him a brace. He's a brace scatter tie interceptor now, baby.
Yeah. I mean, what can you say other than he's going to be harder to blow up?
Yeah, he's back in the game now. You can pick him. Now you can run him.
Yeah.
So that was what he needed.
You never took him.
Right.
It's great. I think he is under serious consideration in a variety of squad balls, whether it be rogues or Sloan type fleets or whatnot. I think he is heavy consideration. The counter 4 is just super good, just super good. So he's like a wedge, kind of like an Imperial wedge, just throwing massive amounts of dice. You throw Howl Runner in there, you're throwing 10 dice, between that and the counter. It's just real good. Real good.
Yep. So we'll be seeing Volt Scares finally. And then the next squadron is Matchstick, who also got murdered. Because he was handing out Rogue to everybody at distance 1 that had a bomber if he was unengaged, which was fantastic. Now he got a points increase. He went from 14 to 16. Mm-hmm. And he's got a new ability. Now he's a relay, basically. So when a friendly ship resolves a squadron command, if you are in range to be activated, up to 3 of the squadrons with bomber it activates can be at distance 1 to 3 of you. So you don't have to activate Matchstick to use him. He just relays 3 at distance 3 is what he does. Relays 3 distance 3 bombers. Still good. Still can be used. Double brace bomber. Yes. But not the absolute maniac that he was, pushing around unlimited distance 1 Y-wings in the squadron phase.
Yeah, I mean, if you can activate 3 bombers off of a token, that's awesome. Like that's always good. But it's appropriate, right? For 14 points.
Mm-hmm.
An appropriate ability.
Well, you got to have the command. It doesn't.
16 now? Yeah.
Okay. So you got to be able to activate 3 to go to 3. So yeah. Anything else? Mystic? And then
we're not going to see 134 points of Y-wings anymore.
Yeah, no 12 Y-wing squadrons anymore. No. Last but not least, Wat Tambor, 2-point decrease. They're begging us to use them.
Blow them up. It's great.
Yep. Yeah. So yeah, that's a good change, I think. 20 down to 18. Escort screen with the brace evade. It's got a 5 hull points, speed 4. It's a good squad. And now that his officer counterpoint is 9 points, even more reason to take him in your squad all.
CIS squads needed help, and this is what it gave them.
I do wonder how much of Wat Tambor officer change is to try and get Wat Tambor squadron potentially more of a viable choice.
It's got to be, right? Maybe they're making an Altar force. I don't know.
I look at it this way. If you're looking at 5 points for Wat Tambor officer versus it was 18 points or 20 points for Wat Tambor squadron, that's a 15-point difference. Now you're looking at a 9-point Wat Tambor officer and an 18-point Wat Tambor squadron. Do you really want to drop 9 points in your officer spot? 18 points for a squadron's not bad, especially a pretty decent squadron.
Yeah.
And like Ryan said, CIS is hurting if you're not taking DIS, T81, or what's the other one that we always
404.
take? 404.
Flak or
the Flakafrak, PAP, as we sometimes refer to him as. This is a good squadron, and you've got escort.
Yeah, this is good, especially when you're fighting Anakin. So, and he nukes your CIS squads. Yeah. Well, guys, this is exciting. I was like overwhelmed when I found out. Somebody sent me a picture of it, and I was like, "Is this fan made?" And he's like, "No, it's real." And I was like, "No, it's not." But yeah, this is wild. I tried to look for other changes anywhere. I think this is all. I think everyone's come to consensus. This is it.
Did they change the wording on Vault a little bit?
I think it was.
I don't think they did.
Well, no, hang on. Yes, they did. So the old one would say, I'll put them back on screen here. During the squadron phase, you cannot make non-counter attacks. The new version of the card says during the squadron phase, you cannot attack unless you are performing a counter attack.
Yeah, so just another cleanup.
It's the exact same thing. You cannot attack unless you're doing a counter, versus you can't attack except for making non-counter attacks. No, you cannot make non-counter attacks. So you can make, it cleans up the language.
Same thing,
same thing, but worded a little differently. Which, to your point, again, it shows that the folks at AMG were willing to go back, take a look at some of the verbiage on the cards to clean it up a little bit, which is great. And really, it kind of, to me, tells me, although we've been hearing there is no development for anything new Star Wars Armada, that to me says it's not entirely accurate. because you're not coming out with 2 rounds of rapid reinforcements with new cards and not an errata change like this if you're not doing any development for the game at all. So that leads me to an interesting question. Before we get to the one of, does this mean that we might be looking at this as being a precursor to the possibility of new stuff maybe being announced come Adepticon? This is 100% speculation. We know nothing.
We have no inside knowledge here.
None.
Right. And if we do, we're not going to share it. But no, we don't have anything. So what do you guys think? I think the fact that they're doing a little bit of work like this showcases they're listening to the community. They're watching the tournament reports that are coming in. So they're gaining some level of data. And I do think they're prepping up to maybe do something bigger at Adepticon. Or is this just me being hopeful?
Who's going first? I'll go first, I guess. Okay, so I think not sugarcoating. I don't think we're going to see new plastic for 2+ years. And I think that goes for us and X-Wing. And I think that is because of factory changes internationally. I know that X-Wing got new pad printers, especially for when they came out that YT2400 to make the painting better. So there's, what's it called? Resources being put into existing factories to improve processes. You don't upgrade something if you're not going to keep printing on it. You just don't put the resources in. Now, we don't know. Again, we don't have any inside knowledge. So I think at Adepticon, we're probably going to see, after Adepticon, probably another errata and points adjustment, and probably another rapid reinforcements. Dennis, the judge who answers the rules for him at this time, confirmed that they did play test all of these changes. He's very clear about that. We don't know who the play testers are. I mean, I know Dennis is one, so I guess we know one. But I don't know if it's just an internal thing, but I know AMG has to, there was some sort of change to where play testers have to be paid, from what I understand, like paid employees. It's like contractors or whatever. But I won't, no, I don't, they said there's nothing in development. That might be true as far as actual plastic, but they're making stuff. And really what we needed was this type of change right now to keep the community healthy and let people purchase the game who are just coming in know that this isn't a stale activity. And I that's the biggest thing. Now I can proudly proclaim to new players and people who are trying to get into this game that yes, changes are happening, adjustments are being made, product can still be bought, community is alive, organized play is still happening, etc.
Yeah, I mean, I think you pretty much nailed my thoughts on this. This is a good thing, right? Even if you think Watt Tambor should be 6 points or whatever, whatever. Like, they're making changes. That's good. Sometimes just make a change, just to make the change. Like, just keep it fresh, keep it interesting. From that perspective, I think it's great. I do think AMG, from watching their other stuff, is not a company that will announce something until it's like absolutely ready.
Like literally 60 days prior to ship.
Right. To like if there's no packaging, box packaging, it is not being announced. For all of their games. I don't see it. You don't see a concept art type thing. Hey, and this is, I don't know what other places do this either, but like, we're working on a acclimator class, whatever. So I think they're very tight-lipped about their development. So I parse the words, we're not in development, which is what we've all read and seen them post. I do think when it is time to get new plastic, which I think will happen at some point, it'll happen very quickly. And it won't be like we're waiting a year for it or something like that.
Right. Because we used to wait 2 years for the SSD, a year for the Onager and Starhawk. And I had something else I want to say. Ken, you got anything? I think.
Well, so like at Gen Con, I think it was the 2019 Gen Con, they had the Onager and the Starhawk on display, right? Not I don't think it was for sale at the time. And it just that thing's not going to happen with AMG. I don't think. I don't think that's just what they do until it's like until you're ready to put your credit card numbers in. They're not releasing new information.
Right.
Well, if you look at how Atomic Mass Games tends to bookend their, I'm going to not naively, but I'm just going to put a name on it and say development cycle. You're seeing at Adepticon, it's like, here's our cool roadmap of what we can tell you is coming. And like, for example, this past Adepticon, a lot of it was Shatterpoint, but they showcased, here's what you're going to see that we didn't see for a couple months. In some cases, we haven't even gotten to it yet, or we just got it. And then, at their mini extravaganza, which bookends their production cycle, if you will, it's like, okay, here's what's left to come out this year, and then what you're going to start seeing at the beginning of the next year up until pretty much Adepticon. You don't see too many releases coming out right at Christmas. It's almost like, let's get it all out before then so that you can buy it, make sure it's in your hands, and then you'll have it. Whereas I know there were times with Fantasy Flight, it's going to come in November. Well, now it's going to come in December. You'll have it by Christmas, and it's February 1st, and here it is. That's what happened with the Chimera release. I think it was supposed to come out in November and ultimately came out, February 1.
Right.
So I think they want to avoid that in particular. So, Ryan, to your point, you're right. It's like, we've got it boxed, it's being shipped, it's done and ready. We're just waiting for it to where the warehouses. I think that's when we're going to start hearing it, which is why I think there's a possibility maybe during their panel at Adepticon, they're going to say, here is some news for Star Wars Armada. You're going to see it probably midsummer, late summer, or maybe even October, November. But we'll know what's coming on in the near future, relatively speaking. But we know you're going to get this in the next 6 months or 3 months, and you're going to get it. But you might even be right. They may not say anything until these are now in warehouses and will be released in 2 weeks.
Right.
It's very interesting, and maybe it's the work they're still being work on this, being done. But this is great. Would have been great content for mini extravaganza, to throw to Armada. But maybe it just wasn't ready, and that's fine.
Mm-hmm.
We certainly understand that. But I think it does go to show, like, until something is ready and it's ready for prime time, it's not coming out. I hope to be wrong. Like, I want to be wrong. I want to see new plastic, keep the game going. But this is what we need, right? This will keep us going. I always say, like, a points adjustment is like a year of free content for Armada.
Mm-hmm.
And this is pretty good.
Well, yeah, so I want to hammer this point home. I mean, if they changing the points values on ships is like getting new plastic, to me, because all of a sudden it's a totally different ship when you're building an Armada, because everything's based on points and builds. And then we just got 2 new admirals. Again, we ditched 2, got 2 new ones. Yeah, changing the precedent to change points on ships, I think, is massive.
And that's never been done before?
Never been done. Ever. So we're going to see. And then I guess my other question is, has it ever been done on squadrons before?
No, I think
they've changed wordings and abilities, but not points.
They've done some wordings.
They did the ace cap, which
but that was more on building requirements than the actual ship or squadron itself. So yeah, this is the first time we've seen a squadron points update. This is definitely the first time we've seen a ship points update. We've seen cards point update and commander point updates before. Sure. That happened with the 1.5 rules in the, what's it called? The upgrade card pack had a whole bunch.
And Erratas before, they've changed points on cards, but not ship and squadrons.
No. So this is new, and it definitely opens the door for them to do this again. It wouldn't surprise me if we don't see a cycle where we get something like this more often. I think this goes back to when we had Will Schick on the channel during Adepticon, and he said they want to throw stuff in the wild and see how it goes, and is it blossoming in the right way that they're expecting it to? Or are we going to find, oh, wow, we completely missed the mark on this, and the player base found a whole different way to do this, and we're going to have to kind of, weed that up, pull the weeds and kind of grow it in a different direction. And maybe that's exactly what this is. So maybe we already knew this was going to happen. Just that how it was phrased was a little cryptic intentionally, just to make us think a little bit.
Yeah, but overall, this is really good news.
Yeah. Oh, I'm excited. This is great.
I mean, it's a whole new game. Because Anakin and Onagers both got huge nerfs, and that's what everybody was playing around.
There's
the entire world.
Ton of store championships coming up, and that's what you were thinking about, right? You're like, how do I deal with an Onager? How do I deal with Anakin? And now it's just, I'm not worried about how to deal with Anakin.
No, he's just another admiral that does a thing.
Right.
He's like mid tier now in Republic, mid tier.
And now you're going to see all the other admirals come out again more often. Because Anakin was starting to dominate tournament lists in terms of the GAR players.
There was a store championship in, I think, Quebec at Le Griffon, and the first 3 places were all Anakin.
Anakin. Yeah,
it was like 2 weeks ago. 1, 2, 3, Anakin. I was like, we got a problem here.
Yeah. Well, and Matchstick was in every GAR list, I think, for the last 2 months on the planet. So
it also just, it's also like the Matchstick thing is really interesting because like we all kind of knew when Matchstick came out that he was good. We didn't know, I think, that he was broken.
The extent, yeah.
Yeah. And so it just takes people a while to figure out that thing. So with this stuff, we don't know what's going to work, right? We have ideas, but we just need to see people play with it, get some new fleets out there on the table to see what happens. So no one's figured this out. That's always the thing that bothers me when this stuff comes out. No one's figured it out. Just give it time, let it marinate, have fun with the new stuff,
Yeah.
Yeah, completely agree. It does make me wonder though, how long this has been sitting behind the scenes at AMG, where they're kind of going through ideas of how to make this work. That's a pretty quick turnaround time from April 19th. I think they knew it a little bit beforehand. I think they had it done, but this to me means as soon as we started seeing Anakin come out, all the questions on the rules forum, they probably started thinking about it pretty quick, I would think.
Well, yeah. Well, remember, so they answered questions, and then they kind of went radio silent on the rules forum for like 2 months and just stopped answering questions because they're like, none of this stuff matters anymore. I'm not gonna touch this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a good point. Maybe they already knew they were changing it. They're like, we're not gonna bother answering your questions.
Right. Like none of these questions are relevant.
It's kind of, I mean, it's amazing. Like we'll have this moment. This game is almost 10 years old, right? And this was a change of Anakin lasted 6 months. He burned pretty bright for about 6 months. I don't know like how long the most wanted card. Remember that was like the first Errata or something back in the game. I wasn't around then, but they might have changed it before it even came out. But like most wanted, I think you could use it for like squadrons or something, and it was like the first Errata. Like,
yeah.
There was definitely changes early on, but that's been throughout the course of Star Wars Armada. And I think this format works remarkably well. And now we know it's possible. And the fact that it's possible, we know it can happen again. And I'm just excited to try the new stuff for the next couple of months. And I think clearly the folks at Atomic Mass Games are paying attention to what we're talking about on the Discords and the forums, what's happening at tournaments, both at the store and the regional levels. And I think they're going to take some really good looks at what happens at Adepticon at Worlds to maybe decide, do we need to change things again? So I wouldn't expect another points change anytime before, I would say, June or July of next year. But
I agree.
You know what? If they keep this trend where here's some new stuff that comes out in April, and surprise, we didn't tell you about it, just drop it. Usually while I'm on an airplane, or here at after mini stravaganza, and like, yeah, this isn't working the way we wanted to, or we have a better idea. Here's some new stuff at the end of the year. I'm okay with 2 changes to Armada every year.
That's what we need. We needed engagement, and this is great.
Yeah,
This is a good day.
it definitely is.
Yep. I'd argue the best day. This is better than I think the Onager change is better than when like the last Republic wave came out or whatever. The rest the Ice Republic ships. Because I hate the Onager as an idea. I would rather get beat all day by somebody with a Star Destroyer and a Quasar or whatever than that stupid super laser ship.
I'm just glad that some Wave 8 stuff seems to have been fixed a little bit. But we're going to find out, because who knows what someone's going to look at this in a way that none of us are expecting, that is going to come up with some ultra awesome niche list that we're going to go, where did that come from? And it's going to have Palpatine and Director Izard on it, and they're going to win worlds. So
someone's going to figure out what the heck Draven does. I'm gonna have to read them about 10 more times, and it'll come to me. But
I kind of want to play with Draven some, just because it's such a weird card.
So strange.
I think he fits right up my alley. He might be my new favorite Rebel commander. We'll see if he replaces Kraken for me. Probably not, but we'll see. All right, we got anything else we want to touch base on, or do you think we've got some good content here for everyone to talk about and comment on and keep us going for a little while?
I think so. I guess I don't know. We'll wait. What do you guys think? Wait to do more tournament review till after these changes are in the tournaments, because now everything in the past is not really relevant too much anymore.
I think there's the St. Lawrence Open this weekend, which is the last, I think, of the tournaments, and I'm sure Anakin and Matchstick and Onagers will do great there. But then we'll have a new world after that. So,
yep.
Cool. I'm definitely looking forward to our next coverage of whatever the first tournament we see that has new Anakin, new Draven, new Agate. I mean, all this stuff that's been changed, no Matchstick, Onagers at a different point level. Exciting time for Star Wars Armada. Ryan, we're so glad that you were able to get away from your busy schedule working and join us. It's always good when we have 3 of us to bounce ideas off of. And then it gives all you guys at home so many more different opinions to listen to, other than just mine, which no one wants to listen to mine anyway. Don't listen to me. I have the bad stuff here. But until next time, everyone, I'm Ken.
I'm Garrett.
I'm Ryan.
And you've been listening to Command Stack.